bit. So last week was really about the strengthening and to find some inner resilience, because now you already cracked open, the energies are really intense, and now we really want to work in a gentle way with these things. And so the beginning meditation is, I felt intuitive that we are making a self-forgiveness meditation to give us more compassion and more forgiveness to all of our parts where we are maybe think we didn't show up the way how we wanted, where we didn't could bring the effort or the energy or the behavior that we wanted. Like, especially right now, like when you're like caught up in your intense emotions and thoughts, it can be really heavy on ourself of like, oh, I wish I could be my higher self, or I wish I could more embody that and that energy, or I could show up in that space or wherever more. But this is like, you are where you are right now, and to give yourself forgiveness and compassion. And I see this like as an intense awakening happening right now, that we are humans are really not, we never learned how to go through these heavy processes and through the grief. And so the past weeks we were like slowly starting, like giving you a lot of connection with your inner worlds and strengthening. And now we are going into the deepness, and we want to be capable to hold that, to survive and go through it, because this is a needed process in that. So to prepare you for that, to give us practices and meditations to really stay in compassion and softness with us. And then I will share more later. And last week I prepared this today's session, and I made it really structured, like, yeah, I will guide you, blah, blah, blah. And then the past days I was like, okay, no, there is more intuitive sharings coming through my own process to a lot of awakenings and realizations. So, yeah, this is really today the space to give you a little bit of an understanding and compassion towards yourself through the heaviness you're feeling. Just to give you that little update beforehand, so that you a little bit know what's coming. So today is really the space to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel okay, to not be okay. It's okay to feel heavy and not showing up in the perfect glimmered version. That's not how life works. So by saying that, maybe we start with the meditation, so that you're like arriving here in that space, that you're arriving to yourself, so that when you share, you really like you share from your inner center. If that feels okay for you. Okay, so already start to make yourself in a comfortable position where you can sit the next minute. So just make yourself ready. And I just need to find something. Yes, you can put your camera off if you feel more safe with that. You can light an incense, you can light a candle. So really make sure that you feel safe in your space. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you have sage, sage is great, or just an incense. And whenever you found your space, you're in a comfortable position, maybe cross-legged seat, start to straighten your spine and close your eyes. And take a few deep breaths through your nose in and out, and connect with your body, with the air in your lungs. Just observe yourself and focus on your breath. And just start to arrive here in that space. Connecting with yourself. And then feel your sit bones on the ground to really feel the stability and the connection from your body to the earth realms. And really set your focus on your sit bones, on your root. And take another deep breath in and out. And then come to a steady, slow breath. And just feel what is alive right now. Maybe you feel a lot of tension. Maybe you feel stress. Your mind is racing. Or like restlessness. Whatever is there, feel into it. Like really feel the uncomfortable in it. What is present right now. To feel the difference after the meditation. And then start to take a deep breath through your nose in. And through your mouth out. To let all that is inside, all the tension, the heaviness, to let it out. Breathing through the nose in. And through your root down into the earth through the mouth. Out. And with the next breathing in through your nose. Hold on the top. Hold the breath in. Squeeze your body, squeeze your root. Keep the tension. And then let it all out through the mouth. And really let it down to the earth. So again, we are breathing in through the nose, soaking in the energy of the earth. Hold on the top, squeeze everything, hold the tension. And whenever you are ready, let everything go into the earth through the mouth. And surrender. We do it one more time, breathing in through the nose. Hold at the top, squeeze everything you can, really get all the tension, squeeze, 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 as long as you can, hold it in. And whenever you are ready, let it all out, like fully letting it go to the earth. You can make sounds with your mouth, whatever wants to get out, let it go. Just breathe in and out. And feel the release in your body of all the tension flowing down into the earth. And then start to bring your attention to your heart space. And really feel into your chest, into your heart. And feel what is alive for you there. How do you feel? How is your connection to yourself lately? Do you avoid feeling into your heart? Do you close your heart off? Or do you have a connection to your feelings? Really bring all your attention into your heart space. And then bring your attention like a golden thread line down from your heart into your womb to connect your womb and your heart. And this golden thread line goes down through your womb into the earth. So whatever you're feeling in your heart, whatever heaviness is there, you send it down, connecting to your womb, to your power center, and down into the earth, to give you a sense of connectedness, of safety within your heaviness. You are not alone. Mother Earth is holding you. She carries everything that is inside of your heart that you are maybe not ready to face or to feel, or which is too much right now, or what you can't even reach. Just connect always to your heart, the attention to your heart, and then like a golden thread line down to your womb, into the earth, to really feel that the heaviness can release, get out of your heart, through your womb, down into the earth. Breathing in and breathing out, visualize the golden thread line through your heart, your womb, into the earth. And then bring your right hand to your heart and your left hand over your heart as well. And really rub here your chest for a moment with your hand to build a connection to yourself and your heart. This is also a really soothing exercise. And rub here your chest and your heart. Breathe. And if you feel like, breathe also out through your mouth. And then come into stillness with your hands. Straighten your spine again. Breathing in. Breathing out. And feel into your heart. Really feel the emotions that you are facing. And when we are overwhelmed by heaviness, we are not able to reach always our highest self. And this is okay. We are doing the best we can in that very moment. So repeat loud or in your head, I forgive myself for all the times I couldn't show up in the way I wanted. I forgive myself for all the times I couldn't show up in the way I wanted. I forgive myself for all the times I couldn't show up in the way I wanted. I forgive myself that I didn't give myself the compassion in that moment. I forgive myself that I couldn't give myself the compassion in that moment. I forgive myself for all the pressure I was putting on myself. I forgive myself for all the pressure I was putting on myself. I forgive myself for not fully accepting me the way I am. I forgive myself to not fully accepting me the way I am. I forgive myself that I didn't took enough care. I forgive myself that I didn't took enough care. I know I do the best that I can in that very moment. I hold myself in love and compassion. I hold myself in love and compassion. I forgive myself for any situations where I would have shown up differently. And I forgive myself and understand that I couldn't knew it any better in that time. I couldn't knew it any better in that time. I didn't know how to do it different. I didn't know how to do it different in that time. I give myself understanding that I did the best that I could in that very moment. You don't need to repeat that. You can just listen and receive these words. And just feel into the compassion that you give yourself. Really feel your hand on your heart. Feel the love. And really forgive yourself. Understand that we are on a path of self-growth. And that means that the old version didn't know it any better. And that the old version needs to learn to adapt like a little child, which takes time and compassion. You do the best you can. So forgive yourself for all the pressure you are putting onto you, that you want to change, that you want to show up, that you want to be something you couldn't in that very moment, which is okay. You are okay exactly as you are. You are a human in process. It is okay to do mistakes. Mistakes let our brain grow. Studies shown. It's part of life. So forgive yourself for all the hardship you are putting onto you. And feel the love and compassion towards yourself. And just give yourself this moment in grace and love and compassion that you deeply deserve. You are okay exactly as you are. Then take another deep breath in. Let it all out. All the times you were not giving this compassion. Let it really out. It's okay. It's okay. Now you know you can give yourself that love, and you can shake a little bit your shoulders and your hands if you feel like, and really be like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. And whenever you are ready, come back into stillness for a moment to find your center again. And understand that the path you're walking now in this container with yourself and this inner work, that you commit to yourself to be always in compassion and acceptance. It doesn't matter which darkness is unveiling, which shadows is uncovering. Commit to yourself that you will look at it with love and compassion and not with pressure and criticism. Commit to yourself. Everything that will come up the next weeks, I will look at it with love, compassion, acceptance, and understanding. Because I love myself. I take care of myself. Because I am worthy of deserving so. You are all deeply, deeply a miracle of life, and you all deserve to feel good inside of your own being. No judgment, no criticism, no adaptation to the outer world, just pure love and acceptance and compassion as we walk this path into the dark realms. Take another deep breath in, out. And feel that commitment that gives you safety to not be afraid to face your shadows because you hold yourself, you love yourself. And then slowly, slowly start to come back. Maybe wiggle your fingers, your toes. And take the time that you need to slowly come back. And whenever you're ready, you can blink your eyes open. And if you feel a little bit vulnerable or raw right now, that's okay. Everything that is here is able and allowed to be here. This is a safe space to show up in every energy and mood we are in. We don't need to cover ourselves. We don't need to hide ourselves. We don't need to mask. The world in the outside is enough pressure to mask and hide. So if you feel heavy, if you don't want to share much, just be who you are today, any day, but especially today. So you can just, yeah, like arrive here in this container with yourself, with us. And it's up to you if you want to share whatever is going through you, whatever emotions you have, resistance, frustration, heaviness, happiness, everything you want to share, share it. This is the space why I said maybe today gets a little bit longer because I don't want to be in a structure. I want to give the space to be whatever is there. So if you want to share, if you don't want to share, it's fine. Everything is welcome. You can also share about last week. You can share about everything around that. So if you just want to share you can also share your artwork. You can share everything of experience you had. You can share your some wine, like everything you want to share, like is welcome now.
I'd like to share. First of all, thank you because that meditation was so, it was like you were just speaking to everything I've been living in the past like few weeks. So that was really incredible. So thank you so much. And I do feel emotional. I think there's I have so many emotions at the moment. Um and really trying to practice being okay with feeling the shit emotions, but more so exactly what you were talking about of like talking to myself with kindness and loveliness, because because of conditioning on so many levels, but especially I think for women, and then everything we go through, you just create without even knowing this, like now, like the voice inside of our heads is just so horrible a lot of the time. And notice, and I spent so much of my life not even questioning that, like just thinking like that's normal and that's like just how everyone's voices is and how it should be. And it's only recently with the work that I'm doing and is that I'm like, actually, that's really not okay. And just seeing the difference of how I treat others and just like the complete, like it just is so I would never talk to anybody the way I talk to myself. So it's really like, whoa, like where is that coming from and why? And it's I'm really experiencing at the moment as well a huge sort of mind and body disconnect because I can really feel I'm really like I can intellectualize so much of the stuff and the do's and the don'ts and what I should be doing, and should is maybe the wrong word because it's not about should and pressures, but in it's just the blueprint of your body that's like how we've been conditioned over the years. To break that blueprint is like whoa, it's so fucking hard. And that's just where I'm at the moment, like really big time. I can see everything, which is really beautiful actually, because my whole life I've spent not being able to see or feel and just suppressing and masking without even knowing. It was all subconscious. I would pretend and la la la, everything's good. Yes, yes, yes. Um, and now I still do that as like an autopilot, but I can feel and I'm feeling things. So even though it's so intense, um, it's bittersweet because it's actually really beautiful that I'm able to feel. Um, so and Katy, you said something to me the last week that really like I was like, oh my God, about because I sat in an ayahuasca ceremony for the first time this year, and portals opening, I think, are a big theme for me these past months and this year, because I think because I got so wrapped up in the mind, I had forgotten that I had opened up this thing. So I just like when you told me that, I was like, oh my God. I was like, that makes so much sense as to why I'm feeling so intensely and why everything just feels so intense. And it's like but it's also really amazing because it's actually, as much as I feel like I'm suffering because it's painful, I'm actually at a point that I was wishing to be at before. Like I was wanting to like, oh, I just want to know what's happening and be able to feel my body and know what's going on. And like, because before I would just like la 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 and then have a breakdown and be like, huh? Where the fuck did that come from? But now it's like, I mean, it feels like every day is a breakdown, but that's okay. Um, but yeah, so I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just bored. Um, but yeah, it's a real like um what are those things called? The scales thing where it's like constantly going from like being too consumed by all the emotions and sort of stepping into old thought patterns that I'm trying to break, of being like, and like you're saying, being mean to myself and loads of pressure and like you're never going to be okay and da 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 and all the things. But then there's also this really beautiful side of like realizing that this whole stage that I'm in is so necessary for where I'm going and where I want to go. So yeah, just trying to practice just when I catch myself thinking and reacting and feeling like in old ways that I know aren't good for me and are not what I deserve. It's just really trying to snap out of it in the moment. which can be very hard when you're feeling rubbish. And I think that's the real test that I'm at the moment, because I am really struggling. So practicing these things are hard anyway, but they feel like really hard at the moment. So trying to not let that, like, the difficulty of it turn into frustration and anger and self-criticism towards myself, and just accepting that it is hard and that's it, and that's okay. So yeah, that's my share.
Thank you so much, Martha. Like really, I'm so proud of you that you're here today, that you talk, like we are so easily get ashamed of the heaviness or the process we are going through. And like that you are here right now, that you show up for yourself, that you like give yourself the gift of being seen and being heard. This is what you give yourself right now, and to give us the opportunity to see you and be like, I'm with you, sister. Like this is what we actually need. And it's so important what you share, because this is exactly what came up when also Elisa was sharing in the group, where I was like, okay, this is really important to talk about, that we have to understand it's a really brave path we are going if we are wanted to step out of limitings, if we want to step out of fears and blockages, and if we want to come into the light. That's why we look at the shadow. Like we have to talk about the heaviness and the resistance that happens inside of our system, because this is something that we did to feel safe, to adapt to something we had to adapt at some point. Like everything that our brain and our system did, what is now hindering us, it was at some point to keep us safe. And if this is imprinted in your brain and in your thinking and in your system and in your nervous system, the moment we realize, and that's the thing, like we are digging into the shadow realms, and this is a conscious path we are going to the container, but you are doing it by looking at your shit, by looking at your blockages, by looking at your stuff that makes you suffering. This is shadow work. You're looking at stuff that is in the hidden. And in the moment we bring it to the light, it can be like, fuck, I'm miserable. Like, how should I like overcome this? But I have to get better. I have to get less reactive. I have to get less intense emotional. I have to do. And then what happens is we're like putting so much pressure on us that we're like this is not helpful for us. And I can speak about experience the past month. So this is really interesting how to understand that my own process is making this container grow more and more, because I was like, okay, I'm ready to let go of these patterns, sabotaging, self-harming patterns. And I was like, I'm ready. Like, I know they are there. I looked at them for years. Like, it's not the first time I went through this, looking at the self-destructive, addiction, self-harm, like all these things I'm aware of. But now I was like, okay, I'm aware of it. I'm looking at it. Now let's get rid of it. And I got wrapped up in a lot of beating myself down again, because there was maybe sometimes the craving or the urge or the thinking coming up. And every time when this happens, we're like, but I want to be in the light, but I want to be better, but I want to overcome. And then there is another internal conflict we are creating, which is just feeding the already existing self-belief of I'm not good enough. That's even why we start doing all these things. We are hiding, we are suppressing, we are making us small, we are making us suffering, because we think we don't deserve better. We are thinking we are not good enough. And in the moment we want to step out of this, and we are not fully able to do it because of our thinking and our system, we are again like, look, this is the proof. I'm not good enough. So that's why shadow work is a really sensitive thing to touch, because we can so easily slide into another loop of self-criticism and pressure. And this is why really intuitive to me came from all that they're feeling collectively, that we need to come into self-compassion, that we need to remember our strength, like to have all these weapons, to have all this light and this protective acceptance, self-love. And then we walk into the shadow. We are looking at the things that are like blocking us, that we're suppressing, that we don't like, that we thought is shameful. And then we're like, okay, Why did I do that? There is a reason. There is a little inner child, or there's a little shy teenager that was doing it for a reason. So we don't just want to blame us and pressure us. We want to understand and love us. We want to understand and love the shadow parts. And then, like, okay, but you know what? I give you that, and you don't need to do this to me again. But I will come to it later, even more. But it was really important to share that with your sharing, Martha, and with the sharing you had, Elisa, because this is really what I want to make you all aware of, to be really careful and really like make this self-forgiveness practice every day, like find compassion for yourself, because I was falling so deeply in that hole again of like pressuring me, pressuring me, pressuring me. And then I was like, wait a moment, it is under, like, it's okay that it takes time. It takes time and it's okay. This container will not end and you will be a different person. You will not overcome all your shadows in 1 month, but you will be prepared. You will understand, and every time you go through something, you know what you have to do, and you can revisit all the tools and the knowledge. So I'm sorry for that short, big, but it's just what I really wanted to say. And Francie is trying to come. Let me just see if I can send the link again to her. Boop. Yes, here. Yes, so this is beautiful, Martha. I'm really grateful that you share your thoughts, share your things, because this is what I feel is so needed. It's so needed. Okay. So Francie is joining any moment, but you can still continue. We can all continue.
I don't know how to say, but I try. I'm a bit sick, so I try my best to explain. Um, I I feel the last days very tired. I don't know why. I wanted to celebrate someone, but I slept. I laid down and then I slept 12, 13, 14 hours. And I was a bit disappointed, but I guess I needed it. So I gave me this room to recharge. And then I um, tried to build something for my archetype, Persephone. And I didn't build a mood board or something like that. I wanted to build something with some materials. I found some deer bones and for Persephone, an animal is a deer. So I thought, hey, this would be great. So I collected some things, some feathers from a parrot, which is also an animal. And then I bought, I don't know how to spell it. And then I tried to build something. It's not already done, but I'm excited how it will turn out. And this is my project for the next week, I guess. And then at last week, one day, I went to a place which is connected to a very traumatic relationship with an ex-boyfriend. And I did it very intuitively. It was very heavy, and but I'm also proud of me that I did it. And this is also I'm thinking about it and what how it will feel to me the next days, and this is very I'm very hard thinking about it. Yeah, this is my reflection, my sharing.
Thank you so much, Lise, especially that you're here, even if you feel sick. Like, really thank yourself, and thank you for like gifting your presence into this place, even if you are not so fit. And I'm so excited. Like, I really want to see your project when it's finished. Like, when you sent the pictures and the bones and everything, I was like, wow, you like really feel the connection, and it's like so natural and intuitive. And you shared with me that you really feel like this is so beautiful, like that you're already connected to the elements of her. You already have this. And the thing is, this is the beauty of this work in the mystic realms. Like, stuff happens intuitively. Yeah.
I want to say something. I found a mood board on Pinterest, and there was a sentence which says, "Do not worry about your contradictions. Persephone is both floral maiden and queen of death. You too, you can be both." And this is me. So I also feel the connection to the dark and to the bright. And I always thought, okay, I have to decide, but I don't have to. And this is my whole life. And last week it turns out, hey, your archetype is Persephone, and it's me. Yes. And this is so great, and I'm so excited, and I love working with her. And I always feel her. She's always with me, and I love it.
I'm so happy to hear, Lise. And this is exactly what this work is about with archetypes, to have understanding. We don't need to be that or this. Like, you are what you are. You are who you are with everything that you like, even if it's totally in the opposite. Like, this is so, I'm so happy that you found that you understand that, because now you can go more into acceptance and really work on these sides and like play with them and make this project. And I'm so looking forward to see it. Like, I love it so much. And also give yourself a lot of understanding and self-care, because I mean, you already know, like, I have a background of trauma, and I do a lot of trauma work, so I have a lot of understanding of our system. And exhaustions, or like intense tiredness, is when we have heavy emotions that we cannot we cannot feel them, because our system doesn't feel safe yet. So what happens is that we are getting into a really intense heaviness, and this is where depression or procrastination and all these kind of symptoms come from. So give yourself an understanding that I understand that you were disappointed, but your ritual was to go into the death, into the sleep realms, and to receive whatever there was to be, and just to rest, because stuff were coming up. You were not able to process in the consciousness, but it doesn't change that in the, it's still something happening. So it is a really known phase of trust the process, but really trust the process. To not fight against it, to not wish it any different. If you're heavy, if you just want to sleep, if you're just tired, then this is what you have to do. Like, this is where we have to be in subtle line of when to push and when to accept. So I'm really curious and excited for you. What will the next weeks? Yeah. Thank you so much. And Francie, you are here. Hello. You can just chat in, or you can nothing. You can just be there. But if you feel like to share something or say something, you're really welcome. We are just sharing really raw, just how we are. So everything is welcome. You can share like, everything is shit. I feel like shit. I'm exhausted. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I'm angry. I'm happy. I'm in joy. It doesn't matter. Like, everything is welcome. It's really about having no pressure to be anything. You don't have to show up. You don't have to do anything. You can just be here and receive. But if you feel like sharing, you're so welcome. Okay. Francie is in the studying. She was writing in the chat. That's totally fine. You can just focus on your studies and just receive. That's fine. I'm happy you are still here. Of course, it's okay to just listen. Yeah.
I would also like to share, but I'm not too sure where to, or I don't know if it's even, yeah, don't forget about it.
Everything is
I,
welcome. Everything.
yeah, yeah, I'm going, yeah, through this time of like heartbreak. I don't know if it feels so much like heartbreak. I'm like separating from my partner for the which I met in Costa Rica in January. Yeah, we're going different ways. He goes to the US, I stay in Austria, and yeah, it's so weird letting go of someone you still love so much, and where also this person loves you back so much. Like you both, there is still so much love, but like, yeah, we're not gonna be together. So, and yeah, this week I was facing a lot of shadows when it comes to this, and so much feeling of, yeah, like rejection, or like all these stories, which are none of them are actually true. And that's the weird part of becoming aware of patterns when I'm experiencing all these thoughts, but suddenly I'm aware of them. And when I think back, it's the same. It's like the exact same I'm experiencing in all relationships, but now I'm finally like suddenly I have this moment of what the fuck is going on, like, but still I'm reacting on them, like I'm kind of trapped, and then it kind of hurts even more when I'm aware of this trap. And yeah, so the work this week, I was sharing it in the chat already. I was working with Sophia as an archetype, and what I see so much with this archetype, I don't feel like I wanna embody her in my actions. I don't think she's so well suited as a person or as an archetype which is present with me in daily actions. I feel like she's very much like over the things. She doesn't seem really social or like someone who is like in connection in like I feel like she's more like an archetype I want to sit with after a situation or before or to reflect. I don't think I want to put her on top of my like on top of my behavior. I don't want to act as Sophia. I don't see this at all. I think this would not be authentically at all with me, how I am. And because she seems also as wise as she is, but she also seems kind of um how do you say, like, yeah, disconnected from actual connection. She's so, yeah, like above things. So
She's a divine figure. She's not a human. You know, this is the like
oh yeah
is a divine figure.
yeah
She's not walking on
so
next to you.
no, so this is what I'm understanding a lot about
Yeah.
these archetypes this week. It's not my it's not, I wasn't really understanding that before this week. So, and no one ever told me. I just realized this, that archetype work is not that I want to act as this archetype. It's because I want to act like me. That's the path. I want to stay myself and appreciate more what I already am embodying, and just having her as a friend, like a sister, like next to me when I'm like sitting at my my table, and I have these candles and my flowers and stuff, and she's sitting with me there. And yeah, she's just with me, but I am not her.
Exactly.
And I really have to take care of the, and why I am mentioning this so much is because I'm very, when I look back, especially teenage years or back, I'm very tempted to lose myself and just become something I want to be. And I'm so easy with that. You know, I'm very easy to step into personas, but then I'm losing also my sense of identity. And then I'm like, suddenly I find myself in situations where I'm like acting as this persona, but afterwards I'm feeling so empty and disconnected because I'm like, this was not me. This, like, no. Yeah, that's also, I was in so many relationships with people where afterwards I'm like, what the fuck? What? How could this ever happen? And yeah, it's like, it's so interesting to see this. Yeah, as I'm speaking, I'm even realizing more and more
That's the
of
power of
that.
sharing.
So yeah, yeah, true. And in the beginning, I was like, no one's interested in my heartbreak shit. But yeah, okay. So um, yeah, it's really special to have these understandings and to realize I don't want to lose myself in order to um, embody any qualities, because I do already either way. But maybe it shows up differently, you know, like um, so it's more like I see how does gracefulness look in me, not how would it look with Sophia? Yeah, perfect. She's this divine, bright, white figure, but yeah, how would it look like in me? And I can see it. I was like doing a lot of walking this week, like hiking, and yeah, and I wrote it, and suddenly I was thinking about Sophia, and I was like, I could really feel like how my body's lifting up, and like, yeah, that's how grace feels in me. That's how it looks like. Like in the outside, you would maybe not even see, but it's I'm feeling it a lot. Yeah, very present. So yeah. Mhm.
Thank you for your sharing, Elisa. And of course, this is exactly what I mean. This is space to share, to be. Everything is welcome. And of course, we are interested in you and what you're going through. And I send you all my love and blessings for that time. It's not easy. It's really heavy. And especially when we go through that, like our shadows is like acting out. Like when I go through a heartbreak, like all my demons are like, let's create chaos. I'm in pain. Let's make everyone
Yeah.
in pain. So
Yeah.
be aware and compassionate about everything that's acting out. It's just your protection, it's your survival, and have compassion in that, have love to yourself. And I think that's exactly why when you were sharing in the group of Sophia, I immediately was like, oh, I really have to make you all aware of not losing yourself in this enlightened, better version of you, because this can be such a bad trap where we're like, oh, I'm not embodying it. I'm not embodying it. I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm falling back. Like, you are you. Archetype work is it is not just one road. Like Lisa has her connection with Persephone because it's a part to integrate and accept herself in these sides. And you can be like, I'm her right now, or she's flowing through me. She is with me. But you and Sophia is a totally, you know, every archetype has a really specific energy. So it is really specific how it acts out. So Sophia is wisdom. Sophia is not a person. You cannot embody it. This is like I would create an emotion, my personality. This is not working. Sophia is wisdom. It is a divine guidance. So you can use Sophia to channel your higher self, which means you're in a situation, you're overreacting, your emotions come up, and in the past you would just react. And now you maybe still be aware and then react, but at least you're aware. And at some point you get aware and you can change a little bit. So it is, she helps you to channel your own wisdom, or she gives you guidance of wisdom, which makes you more into that person that you like. I don't want to say like to be, but that you want to grow into. But to grow into means we are growing. It's not there. It has to grow into. And especially when it comes to emotions, overreactions, trauma. And I want, again, it's sometimes really difficult how much to share, because I could share so much. But it's really important to share and understand that our nervous system plays a significant, important role in that. Did you, like, the internet was a little bit rubble for a second. You're still here, all? Yeah.
I hear you. Like at least I do.
So why I was putting in the group the exercises, in the next coming weeks, there will be more exercises. If our nervous system is dysregulated, we have no capacity to be our higher selves or to be different. So it is not just your willingness, it is just not, you're not there yet, you're not good enough. You can do a lot of inner work and you can know it better and you can do it better 100 times. But in the moment, you are like totally in survival mode. You're like, your nervous system is dysregulated because things happen in life which throw us under the bus, or our nervous system lives in survival mode for our whole lives and is not capable to hold things yet. We don't have the resources to act in our higher good. So to have an understanding that the body and the somatic part in our nervous system plays a significant, important role. If I feel not safe in my body to speak up for myself, I can tell myself every time at home, like, you have to, you have to, you have to, you have to. The only thing I make is making myself more panic and pressure. So to tell myself, I should have known better, I should have do better, why, blah, 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 it will just bring us more stuck into the loop. So that's why the self-forgiveness and the compassion is so important, because you couldn't change you couldn't act any different in the past. In that very moment, you didn't have the resources to not react overly emotional. You didn't have the resources to act in the wisdom that was flowing through you. And then after, you're like, but I should know. No. It is all you could do in that very moment. And that's why it is going hand in hand to work with your body and your nervous system and to do the inner work. You cannot do just one thing. This is not working. And I can tell you that from such a deep experience of working on myself for over 15 years and then falling so back. There is no falling back in healing or like in self-growth. But if I'm facing a new layer of trauma release or facing new things, my system is totally overwhelmed. I have no access to the new behaviors and the new understanding that I was learning and couldn't do better at a more relaxed time. So have an understanding that even if you're going through a heartbreak, maybe it will be even more difficult to react in your higher good or to react out of that wisdom. But you can still channel it, you can still receive it, you can still try your best, what you can in that very moment. So this is a really, 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 really important step to understand, to not beat yourself down because you were too tired, you were too angry, you were too anxious, you were too much in panic, you were too much in freeze. This is out of your control in that moment, but not forever. That's why I really, really, really maybe sound like the annoying mother, but do the exercises. Like the breathing and the humming I was sending, it's really helping you with the nervous system regulation and the brain. And the other exercises I will put this week will be emotional release, like where you really get out of the, like all the panic and tension we have, like to get it out of the body and to shake, and then other breathing. So, and the more often we do these exercises, the more stable our system is to hold difficult triggers, to hold difficult things. And if we start to look into the shadow realms, we need to be able to be kind of settled inside of us, to not totally get consumed or in panic by it. And you never should be adapt. Like this whole container is about being yourself. You should not embody a whole archetype all the time. It's just to integrate a part of yourself you were suppressing, to live something out or to accept a side of you. But you are never just one archetype. Like I embodied the archetype of Kali for years, and then it was like, okay, it's enough for now, you know? So it's like, and we are all so different. We are all in our individual paths. So be open and curious always. There is no one road to go.
Can I ask you, when you say you embodied Kali for years, so do you have experience also with falling into an archetype and like merging with it? Or like you know what I was sharing earlier? Where
Oh, yeah. So, it's the internet back,
I
yeah.
would love to hear a bit about that because I was completely unaware of this. Like because yeah, I'm just learning about this as I am going deeper in this with myself.
You hear me? Because some of you are freezed in the picture. Maybe I'll move. Just move for a second. Okay, Martha is gone. Now I see. I was like, I'm not sure. I hear nice Francis clapping. I love that. So, you know, guys, this is the interesting thing of creating a program and a container about mysterious deep inner work. There is so much happening. There is so much constantly evolving and learning. And so as you do this, you will get through your own processes. And I mean, you could identify with Sophia, and in a few months you're totally crumble because you're totally suppressed yourself, and then you will learn from it. Or I can tell you like, no, don't do it because this is not what you should do. So there is like my experience I share because I went through all these things by myself to figure it out. So there are many ways how to use the archetype. You can, like the archetype is a reflection. It's a reflection of yourself. Sophia is not in the outside. It's your own wisdom. Persephone is not the outside. That's Lisa's own characteristics. It is just easier to catch with that through the archetype. So this is one thing. You can work with it. But then we have the deity work, which goes into a really deep, complex magic thing where the actual goddess and the spirit is present with you. And Kali was present with me. So I was Kali, but she was present with me and she acted in my life. And she is not a friend sitting here. She is a deity. She is an energy and a spirit. So she was destructing my life and everything that, like, I was destructing my life as well because it was needed. So it's like she is moving through me because I had to do it. I had to feel it. And it was a needed part in my process. So I was, you can understand, like Kali is the goddess of transformation and destruction. So I was creating a whole life of a persona. I'm not my authentic self. And Kali was moving through me and I was destroying my life I was destroying what I created because it was not aligned to me. And then I was crawling still, because you're not changing from one day to another. So everything was breaking, and my ego and my persona was clinking on the next thing that is similar to what I knew. And then Kali was acting out and destroying again. So I was building myself up, destroying myself, building myself up, destroying myself so many times, and I'm still doing it. So this is how she is acting out in me, through me, and I embody her, but of course I'm me. I'm in my life, I'm with my experience, with my psyche, creating these things, and then Kali is coming through me, and I destroy what I have. So this is a pattern that can happen. And I have the same, I was just thinking this morning about Lilith. Lilith was acting out through me a little bit too much lately. So I had to put her on the leash and be like, all right, there was a little bit of a power game here. So it is it's not that you're tapping into these energies and you have a guiding book and you will just get for a ride and then step out when it's done. No, like you can lose yourself in it. You still have to be the aware person in your life to observe what's going on, because you can get wrapped up into your own shadows. You can lose yourself you can identify too much with a persona. You can identify too much with a goddess. You can identify too much with how you shared with your boyfriend, with your job, with your goddess. Like it's just the same thing in a different shoe. So you were already understanding, I need to be careful. I lost myself in boyfriends. I lost myself maybe in an archetype. So be careful to not lose yourself in an archetype. Always come back to yourself, because I understood I maybe lost myself a little bit too much in the dark goddess. And I have to come back and see also work on my other things. Like I have to be the person that's like, stop. And now I'm integrating also the light aspects. I'm integrating also the Aphrodite. I'm integrating also the Athena. We have sometimes to stop us to get stuck in that, if it makes sense what I shared. Yes, but you're always reach always out if you have questions or something is unclear. It's important that you know these things. So always ask me personally in a message or in the group. It's always welcome. This is a guided container. Of course, I will not cannot go through you with all of you through your internal processes. But if stuff is coming up that is confusing you or like making you stuck or questioning, reach out. Really reach out. Don't hesitate. Okay, so this was a beautiful big sharing, but this is exactly what I felt was needed. It was just intuitively I'm not following my structure. I'm just following what I feel. So I will give you a few minutes before I share the presentation and come into the workshop. I mean, the workshop is already happening, but I give you let's say 3 minutes, or let's say until 11:23 to make it super complicated. I just need to pee, and maybe you need to pee too. So I put my camera off.
Sorry, I need to actually go now to catch my train. So I will watch the recording when you send it out. But I just want to say thank you so much, Kati, and thank you everyone for sharing, and thank you for listening, because it felt, I know I had to hide away last week, but it felt really good to actually I really wanted to be here and just share and be open, and and it felt safe and good. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Martha. I wish you all the best travels and an exciting time. I love you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Safe
Love
journey,
you.
Martha.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so 3 minutes left and then we meet here again.
Okay.
Hello. Are we back?
Hello.
Hello. Okay. Fancy, maybe you can put a oh now I was recording the pause. Huh. Maybe just a smiley or a hand or something so I know you are here. Perfect. Thumbs up. Yay. Okay. So, I was already sharing a lot, but we still have. Do you see my presentation? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So, as I said, it was already a more intuitive sharing in the beginning. As we are entering week 3, the transformation is shadow work. So, I mean, we already talked in week 1, and you already have known all what shadow work means, but I would just go through it a little bit deeper so that we really understand the process we are going through in this journey. So I was already telling you more about the persona in the first week, but it was a really quick telling. So does any of you know what the persona means? Okay, so I would just continue. As you see in the picture, so the persona is the mask we are wearing to adapt and to a relation to our other world, into the world and others. So it is something I put over my authentic self. And the persona is created through a combination of socialization, like social expectations that the society is creating, and the expectations of the world that we have, and also the tendencies that we are shaped as an individual. So through childhood, adaptation, relationships. So it's all the collected adaptation to something expected in the outer world. And it's how we want to see ourselves and how we want that others see ourselves. So this is exactly where we come into this internal conflict of, oh, I want to show up as this and that. I want to be my higher self. I want to be enlightened. I want to be this light being of Sophia. Like, this is what I want to be, and I want to be perceived by the outside. But maybe I'm right now angry and I'm like pissed off and I'm frustrated. So there is like a conflict with what I want to be through the outside. Someone sees me and how I'm actually feeling or am. So this is a like a social identity or constructions, like we are playing a role in the outside world. This is actually the mask or the persona we're creating to be acceptable by the society and the outside world. And it's not necessarily who we really are, but who we want to be or what we pretend to be for others. So again, I'm bringing that little example of Sophia. If you would too much lose yourself in, I want to embody Sophia, we can easily, instead of strengthening our inside, we can lose ourselves in creating another mask of persona. So, Elisa, I go with the example of you. I hope that's okay. It's not an attack. It's just a really beautiful example. I'm really grateful for that because it is the understanding of we use the archetypes to connect to our inner strength. So when you channel Sophia or when you embody Sophia, you're not embodying her and putting her on as a mask. You are like reflecting your inside wisdom because this is your strength. when you do the quiz, you were answering of you. You were answering the things that gave you the archetype of the wise woman. That is you. You have this archetype inside of you. You are that person that has access to wisdom. And to not lose yourself in your shadow, to not lose yourself in self-doubt, you visualize and connect with Sophia. That is just the reflection of your own wisdom. So it is not something you create in the outer and put on. It's something inside of you that is reflected to something in the outside if you cannot reach it in the inside. Because when I'm absorbed by self-doubt, I cannot find access to my strength. This is how I feel it pretty often, because we are getting so consumed by I'm not good enough, I'm stupid, I'm too emotional. But the outside Sophia, she would knew better. But when we understand she is a reflection of our inner strength, she can, like, this work can strengthen us and not weaken us. This is this really important difference of archetype work we want to create. So if you are in a situation, you are not channeling her, you're channeling your own wisdom through her visualization to give you like a support, like a bridge to your inner resilience. It's really important, because what we want to do is, by this path of individuation and the path from shadow to sovereignty, is to come into our true selves. So we want to release the mask and not put more mask on, like get the mask out. So this is really important to understand. So in the shadow, again, I repeat that, represents the unconscious aspects of our personality, including traits and emotion and instincts we reject or deny. So that means if we have a really emotional nature, this is just who we are, because it is. We don't need to understand. It is just, I'm a sensitive, highly sensitive, emotional person. I react to my outside world more emotionally than others do. And if I get ashamed by it, because others say this is too much, this is too traumatic, don't be like that, I start to put my intense emotions into the shadow and I start to repress it. So, and this is the little trick where I was seeing with Sophia, to not fall into like, yeah, still suppressing my intense emotions, to not get emotional reactive and just channeling her. No. We want to bring the emotions to the front and look at them through the wisdom of Sophia and be like, oh, I see you are really hurt right now. I understand, but when you act in that way, you will not get your needs met, because someone else will just attacking you because you're attacking out of pain. But what you really want is compassion. So you have to change your behavior to get what this side really wants from you. So this is where your strength is coming in, for example, by Sophia. So it is not like engaging with the shadow helps us to understand our true self. Like, we don't just, like, all the things we rejected, they are not all bad. They all have their reason why they are in us. Like, we are emotional. Maybe we are intense. Maybe I have a big temper. This is just who I am. But if I'm acting out and just throwing pieces all over and creating chaos, I will not have a happy life. So how can I still be true to my temper, bringing my temper into the light, look at it like, okay, there's a reason why I have that. I'm really passionate. I'm really intense feeling. How can I find a way to integrate that shadow, to be part of me that it is, but not letting it act out? And for example, the emotional overreaction, it's actually also through repression of emotions. So in the moment we understand that we are okay to feel much, the emotional overreaction can start to be less, because we are accepting it. Yes, and for women, the shadow traits include emotions, desires, and behaviors deemed unacceptable by social norms or patriarchal values. And as I was saying, like with the persona is the mask that we wear to be social acceptable. And we as women, especially, we are suffering from this: don't be too much, don't be too dramatic, don't be so over emotional. And this is a really big thing, which creates a lot of suffering, which creates that shadow where we suppress our emotions, and then they're acting out uncontrolled by overly emotion reactions. Like we are suppressing, no, I'm fine, I'm good, and then we are exploding. This is one example. It's the same with anger. Like if we suppress our anger all the time, this is where people, for example, it's a really heavy example, but it's the truth. People that do amok, I don't know how to say amoklauf in English, but people who are like doing like out of nowhere, like being in high school, always being like a really shy, nerdy person, and one day they are going into school and shooting everyone down. This is like intense suppression of anger and frustration that is growing so much in the dark until it's acting out to the most horrible way. And I read a lot of books about the shadow, which says like the shadow is actually the main reasons why people create war or people murder or people rape, because they suppress so much of things inside of them, then it's acting out in a really bad and uncontrolled way. So to understand the shadow is really to integrate lost parts of ourselves. Yes, and as we are women, as I'm working deeply in the field of the feminine wound and also of the collective shadow, it just came to me, especially because this workshop is happening around Samhain, it's happening around Scorpio season, where like the witch wound is really active and the spirit realm is really active. So maybe we are feeling more rage, we are maybe feeling more darkness, we are maybe feeling more something. So I really want to make also the awareness to the collective shadow, which is the witch wound. So I know probably all of you heard about the witch hunts and the witch trials. And so it was historical events where thousands of individuals, mostly women, were accused of witchcraft and then were tortured and burned or strangled to death. And in many cases, these women were like seen by the outside world as too independent or wise, or they were not adapting to the social norms. And so we can see a pattern, the pattern of us being accused as women, or like being seen as too emotional, too much, too traumatic, too intense. Maybe embodying some rebellious activism in us, or maybe speaking up about things. And it's the same wound like back in the times where women were targeted for doing something bad just by being woman, just by being in wisdom, just by being out of social norms. So it's a really big, how can I say, connection to the inherently fear that we still feel today by not being who we are with all the range of emotions we have, to that we want to be social accepted. So I'm sharing this because, as I was sharing before, when we're going through this shadow work and through this path, maybe I can already see like, this is where I'm blocking myself, or I'm not speaking up at work for myself, or I'm not representing my desires. I'm not doing the hobbies I want. I'm not talking about the interests I have, because in the social norm, it is seen unacceptable. It is seen weird, dangerous, too much. So, and this is where we are putting the persona. And now we are doing this path where we want to put the persona by side and want to be seen in our authentic expression. And we have to understand in that work, like, for example, I want to show up at work more like myself, talking maybe about my interests, about astrology. And the moment I'm like, oh yeah, so now I'm on this path, I'm doing my shadow work, I suppressed my authentic being, now I want to change. And I go into work, and maybe in the moment I think I want to start to share something, my whole body gets reacting in so much fear that I cannot. Like, I feel like my throat is blocked. I feel like my whole body is in panic. And to understand that when you're going through this process of, I want to work through my shadow, I want to overcome things, the blockages or the issues or the resistance you feel is not only your own fear, it is a fear from the collective wound of the witch wound, where women were accused or like they were like killed for showing up in their full expression. So this is really important to share, that you have an understanding that you are, as a woman, and as you are in this container with my work, I know that every one of you is a highly sensitive woman. You have the connection to higher realms. You have the connection to something outside of the material world, which is the connection to the collective unconscious, which is the connection of the collective shadow and wound. So you will probably at some point feel a lot of internal resistance or pain, of a fear or anxiety in your own path of being in your authentic expression. And to be aware that it's not your own weakness, it's not your own limitations, it is a collective, intense energy moving through you as a woman connecting to the mystic realms. And every one of you is in their witch path, I know. So every one of you will face that at some point. And to not lose yourself in, oh, that's me. I'm not strong enough. I'm not good enough. No, there is intense energies moving through your energy body with this collective wound. And the Hans were reflecting social fears of female power and autonomy. And what do we do on this path? We want to step into our femininity and into our power and into our autonomy. Like, we want to empower us. We want to step out of this social, sheep, crowded role we were creating. We want to break free. We want to express our authentic self, but to understand that this was in the past threatening our lives. So if you're standing there and your whole body is out of fear, it is the fear of being killed. It is the fear of not being safe by expressing yourself. So one big part on the path of authenticity is facing fear, facing anxiety, and being able to hold that fear and overcome it step by step. So it is important for you to understand that you will not get a realization of like, oh, I was bullied in school because I was too weird, and that's why I hide, and now I know where it comes from. This is my shadow. Okay, let's break free. This is step one. Step one is understanding the shadow, bringing the shadow to the light, to understand what happened. Why did I suppress something? Why did I reject a part of me? Then I start to be like, that's why I'm afraid to speak up. That's why I'm afraid to show me. Maybe I understand this is this memory. My ex-boyfriend were abusing me. I was silenced by my mom. I was bullied in school. Like, this is your imprints you have and your conditions that were creating that shadow in the first place. then you have an understanding why you did that, why that happened. And you're like, oh my God, okay, I understand. I give myself compassion and love and be like, you're safe now, you can be yourself. And then you start to step into that. And this doesn't mean that you will be good. It can happen that you will face a lot of uncomfortable feelings, a lot of sickness, a lot of nauseousness, a lot of panic. And to give you an understanding that this is not a sign of crawling back and panicking and being like, I'm not good enough, I'm too weak for this. No, it is a normal process that can happen. It doesn't mean it needs to happen. I just want to make you aware of it, but it can happen. And to be soft in it, not pushing you through, but also not hiding. Like if you're facing that fear, be with it. Use the practices that I'm sharing. Breathe, move, shake, scream, do everything to release your trauma animal body, like feel it, but also release it, scream it out, shake it out, breathing out, like get your nervous system in control. And then you can start to make tiny steps. But don't fall into pushing you too far to go into panic zone, and don't go into hiding and go back into your small self. Like this is exactly where we have to learn to be really in the line, really compassionate, really, really safe with us. That's why I created the weeks to strengthen our inner resilience, to give you tools to create a connection to yourself, because entering the shadow realms is not an easy path. It's not. So yeah, the witch hunts is rooted in historical oppression and societal fears of the feminine power, resonating deeply with the collective unconscious of women. And as we are all women and we all have the part of the collective unconscious in our psyche, we have that in our psyche as well. It is a shared trauma that reflects the internalized shame and fear surrounding by our intuitive, empowered selves. So this is a collective trauma we all share. Some people share it more than others, but as I said, this is a really energetic, intuitive container where I know that the women that are here are not in coincidence. So I know that you also wear this kind of wound inside of you to a lesser or to a bigger degree. And just to make you aware that if you continue with the shadow work, to not fall into the trap of losing yourself in another persona, losing yourself into self-doubt, losing yourself into self-criticism, losing yourself in fear. Like, no, we want to have compassion, understanding, gentleness, that it takes time. It takes time to overstep our limiting beliefs, to overstep our blockages, because they have a reason that is deeper and more complex than just our tiny ego stories. So to give you an understanding, you are powerful. You are powerful, even if you are not by the first try overcome everything. That's not how this work is meant to be. So I will give you that slide and more journal prompts in the email, but I want you to let it sink in what I was just sharing, and looking at the screen and like reading the questions or listening when I repeat them, and like really feel like, where could this wound and shadow impact your life? Where is it not just only your own limiting beliefs that stop you from showing authentic? Like, do you have a fear of being seen in your weirdness? Do you fear being seen in your emotional intensity? Do you fear of being seen in your authentic expression, of speaking up and sharing your magic? And also the fear of connecting with other women. So really let that sit for a few minutes. And I was sharing, as I said, through the past 2 hours already intuitively all the important things to prepare you for the shadow work. But if you feel like you want to share thoughts or feelings about that, where you may be like, oh, wait, maybe this is impacting me more than I thought, you are welcome to share now. But you can also just take it with you in your own process over the next week, however you feel. So you will get more journal prompts in the email, but just give the space now here in the collective as well to talk about it or to share or just be like, whoa, I never heard of that. Like, or maybe you are familiar, like maybe you can just share a little bit what it makes you feel. Yeah.
I want to share something.
Yes.
I can answer every question with yes. And then I realized, for example, fear of speaking up or fear of being seen in my emotional intensity. I see my mother too, and we are very similar. So she's also very sensitive and a very lovely person, but I also see she hides a lot behind her persona, and that's what I see during this whole workshop and during these questions here.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Yeah, thank you.
So I'm resonating with all of what is written here. I feel like many of them I'm on the path already since the first time I went to Pachamama, the community in Costa Rica, because you're so fucking like you have to deal with all of them because you just cannot hide when you're around 90 people walking the same path. It's crazy, literally. But the fear of connecting with other women is, wow, that's one of the biggest wounds for sure. And still is. And I don't know, with some women it's super easy to connect with, and I have no shyness. But with some women, especially the women who embody like so much what I appreciate, the qualities I appreciate a lot, and I see I put them on a pedestal. How do you say? Like I glorify them or like so much. You know, and with this I built a huge distance to them. So I feel like I almost dehumanize so many other women, and that's what makes it so hard for me to connect with them because yeah, like I put myself, I'm here and they are there, like, and so I'm not allowed to talk to them because who am I, kind of. And there is very sometimes I feel it more strongly than other times, but there is no this collective sisterhood. It's a lot of hierarchy I'm feeling, and yeah, it's hurting me so much because I'm like, how is this impacting me so much? There is a woman I really would love to talk to because I see how I can learn so much, and suddenly my person is like melting away. I feel like my self-worth, my self-value is gone when I'm in the presence of this woman. I'm like nothing anymore, and this woman is everything. and and yeah, it's like really, really holding me back on this path of becoming authentic. And because I'm already experiencing so much, like what we are doing right now. This is the exact medicine for this wound. Sitting with other women together and sharing vulnerably. And yeah, that's why I'm doing all of this, because I feel this wound and I so much want to overcome this wound, because it's so important for us women to connect and not to fall into patriarchy. And yeah, I feel this is such a big key to yeah, it's huge, this wound. It's crazy. And I think with every woman I was talking about this topic, she said the same or has similar feelings about this sisterhood wound, which is a witch wound. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you so much for sharing that, because it's exactly, we are losing us in our stories, and to lift the weight of our shoulders. It's not you, it's not me, it's not our problem. It is bigger than us. So this gives us a relief of, it's not all on our shoulders. It's not just all like coming from us. It is a collective wound impacting us all. And when I think I'm alone with this, I'm isolating and I'm like, everyone is good, every woman is comfortable, every woman has easy times. No. The more we open up, the more we talk about it, the more awareness we bring into that, we're like, whoa, everyone is suffering from it. And everyone has their own path of connecting with herself and connecting with other women. And as I was saying before, months ago, why I'm doing this work is exactly that this wound is impacting us women so much, which makes us small, because the moment we open up, we empower each other. We understand that we are not that insecure little girl anymore. We are all wounded, powerful wounded women, and the patriarchy was threatened by our power. That's the reason why we are in that way. So it gives us, like, by making us aware of the witch wound, we can find power in this wound and not feeling small like a victim. Oh, I am not I'm not I don't have enough self-esteem. I'm just not good enough to show my full expression as woman. Like, to understand, oh, wait a moment. This is an imprinted collective wound, because just by being a woman, like every one of us, just by being a woman is the most powerful, worthy being on earth, because we bring life to earth. We are a vessel of the divine. We have a natural connection to nature and the divine. Like, we are sacred just by being a woman. And if we would knew that, we would never be in that self-doubt. We would never have to do all this shadow work. We would never have to do all these things. And if we understand, like, it helps us. It helps us to overcome these limiting small makings of us. Since I discovered the path of all these witch things and witch wound, like, I lose myself again and again into my trap of, oh my God, I'm such a traumatized little girl. I was so abused. That's why I don't have self-worth. And then sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, there was this witch wound. There was this path you're walking. And then it's like building me up with fire of like, wait a moment. They wanted me to be like that. The collective, the patriarchy, the society, the man, they all want to see us down in the edge, being weak, little, tiny women, not speaking our truth, not being authentic and sexual in expression and in unity. Like, they want us to be like that. And if I look with that kind of perspective, I'm like, wow, like there's this power coming up of like overstepping it more. So that's why I intuitively felt like, whoa, this needs to be shared, because this is where we can gain power out of the wound. Because I know Elisa is a Libra, I'm a Libra, Lisa is Libra rising, and Francie is Cancer, which we are all like really, we have this kind of, we are like really empathic. We are really, we want the best, we want peace, we want the good in life, but we also have, this is the other side of like being a warrior for the good in the world. So we're having a lot of, we can, like from social injustice, we gain some power. Like if we see something is not like, this is so mean, this is so unfair, this is where we can gain power from. And this is also where we can tap into our sacred rage, where we're like getting so full of rage, like what, they burned us, what, they keep us small, no. And then we can really find relief and power in that. So being aware of like where this is coming from, starting to read more about it, studying it, tap into this wound. This is where I find again and again and again this power to survive, to step into my empowered self. Like use this knowledge. Yes. Because it's crazy, like being in the spiritual field with all these spiritual women that are not unaware of it, but they are still all like really falling into it. And yeah, like to sit in a circle and be like, I'm insecure, I feel threatened by your power. Like just being honest and speaking about it can bring healing. Elisa, yeah, you wanted to say something?
I just wanted to say, like, I see the importance to heal this wound so strong, because these feelings of jealousy or power over each other, it's hurting so strong. And I was also experiencing a lot of bullying in school, and when I became aware how I am judging other women, this was tearing me, this was breaking me, because I was not I was suppressing it so much that I wasn't aware that I'm the same. I'm the exact same. I'm judging other women. I am, as I'm judging myself also, but I was just suppressing it. I wasn't seeing it because I would never do it, because like, because I was experiencing it so much. So I would never do it, but no, it's not. It was just hidden. I'm the same. So it gave me even more energy to, fuck, I have to look there. I have to heal this wound. But and to see it as a collective path is also giving me power, because it's so crazy to see how I am part of it. And I think I would dare to say every woman is part of it when you are not actively trying to heal this wound, because it's affecting everyone. Every woman is affected by this.
Yes.
At least I haven't met women yet who have never done anything of that, and maybe there are some divine women out there. I don't know. I haven't seen them yet.
Me too.
There are. But yeah, it's so, and yeah, also, sometimes also when I am feeling someone is, it's like, yeah, no, nothing more to add, but it's.
Wow, Elisa, thank you so much for that sharing, like honestly, because this brings me back to we fusing into that wound. We are wounded. It doesn't mean
Yeah,
that we're the victim.
completely.
We are not the victim of this wound. We are wounded and we're acting out of that wound, means that we are fueling into this to still happening. If I judging other women, if I feel like like, no, I'm not connecting with her because blah, blah, blah. And one big part of shadow work is to look at this, because how you are saying, and I see it in myself too, we are so ashamed because we want to be good. We want to be a good person. We think like we are just the victims, but we are also the perpetrator. So we have to let go of the shame and being resilient enough to look at our own shadows we are fueling into the shadow wound. And when I'm able to look at it with understanding and of compassion, I can overcome it. That means I'm not just have to look with acceptance and compassion to the things of like, oh, my poor being, I was bullied. Oh, yeah, I understand. Like, no, I have to be like, whoa, I was judged. I was bullied for being super weird. I rejected it. So now I'm projecting my shadow onto other women, because this is the thing. Like when someone else is acting and you feel uncomfortable, that means something inside of you is uncomfortable because you are not allowing yourself to show up in your fullness. So if another woman is doing it, you feel uncomfortable because like, wait, I have to suppress it and she not? No, that's not okay. So there is so much going on that we are fueling into this collective wound by being unaware of our own judgments to others and to ourselves. And the less I judge myself, the more I accept myself, the more I accept the outside. It's always a reflection. So the most judgy person is a person that inherently hates herself. And I can say that because I hated myself my whole life. And I was a really bad person. And I'm still on the path where I sometimes like, whoa, I'm wishing some of my woman sisters that have success, I wish them the best and I empower them. And I really feel it from my heart. But sometimes there is this little demon that is like jealous or don't want to see her succeed because I'm insecure to do it. So I don't want to see someone else rising. So there is so much of it. And I can be all the time like, no, 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 I'm not like this. I'm an enlightened person. No, I'm not a bad person. Like this will just keep me stuck in it. To be like, whoa, okay, there is this little demon here, but why are you here? Like, let's talk about it. Like, give me an understanding why I'm like this. And then we are going down the thread line of like, because I'm not believing in myself. I think So it is a really important part to look at our repressed shadows, which are not just the good things. There are also the things we are really ashamed of, but we are humans and every human has these feelings. Jealousy, comparison, like all these things are also human. And in the moment we are ashamed of it, we reject them and they are acting out. But in the moment I'm like, oh yeah, I'm jealous. So like, why I'm jealous? Because I want to be like that. I want to succeed. I want to be blah, blah, blah. It's okay that I am jealous in that moment. And in that moment that I'm like, it's okay. I can put myself by side and be in like being happy about someone else or being open to it. So it is a process of understanding that we are fueling also into this wound. So thank you so much for that sharing, Elisa. That reminded me of sharing that part of this is where shadow work is getting really messy.
Can I add a little thing?
Sure.
Yeah, just to like, because all this shit, literally shit, came up in like in several silence retreats I did where I wasn't able to suppress anymore because, yeah, silence. So yeah, I just wanna really add how important it is, and I feel like I wasn't doing it enough to be soft with myself and being compassionate with myself, that I am not just a bad person, and because I was kind of blaming myself a lot for how can I be like this? How can I think like this? But yeah, seeing in this context now even gives me more understanding. Like I need to be extra compassionate, extra soft with myself. And that these thoughts are like coming not only for myself, they're coming from so much further away.
Exactly.
And so, because they come so intensively, I need to welcome them with even more tenderness and softness. Otherwise, they would. It's another reason to break me.
Exactly.
Don't want that.
Exactly. And that's really important to understand. For example, people that got bullied or people that get abused. A lot of these people they have no other choice than to repeat that pattern and do the same to others. It's not because they are bad people. It's not because they're inherently wrong. It's because they are wounded and they have no other choice than to act out of their wound. So if we understand that this is how bad behavior happens, we understand, like, because I was judging, manipulative, aggressive, whatever behavior we don't want to be because we want to be all the best persons ever, they are acting out of a wound. We are not bad people. We are not inherently wrong. We are just wounded. And in the moment I'm looking at my wounds and I'm looking at these shadow parts, this is where I can have the power that these are not controlling out of the unconscious. So if I'm so ashamed of being judgmental towards other women, I will never be able to look at this behavior that I have and to understand I'm not a bad person. And I'm sharing this because I grew up as labeled evil by my whole family. I was like scapegoated to the hell, to the maximum. I was like constantly I'm a bad person, I'm a bad person, I'm a bad person, I'm inherently wrong, I'm inherently wrong, I'm evil. Like, to reshape that thinking, this was bringing me into so much suppression, into so much shame about me, that I couldn't look at all the things I'm really doing wrong, because the wound was so big to believe I'm so wrong. And this can like get you trapped into acting out, self-sabotaging or self-harming to yourself and others. So being in this victim mode or being in this shame of looking at your bad behaviors is holding you in that loop. So it is that's why so many people are so afraid of shadow work, because they are not ready and capable to look at their bad behaviors, because it's really heavy. And as I was sharing before, that's why we have to do a lot of self-forgiveness, a lot of compassion, because we can easily fall into the trap of self-criticism. And then we are so wounded that we are not capable to hold the pain. So we are snitching and we are suppressing, and we are like either the victim or we are like getting in the perpetrator. So to not fall into victim mode or like getting the person who creates the pain, it is a really, really sensitive process we are going through. That's why I wanted to make sure through my own experience to slowly start the container, give you an understanding, building a connection with your inner self, building resilience. And this is where the part of the last week is really important. If you are enter the shadow realms, if you are entering your shadows, which means you are like in front of you is all your bad behavior, all your wrongdoings, all your blockages, it can be really a lot. So whenever you will go into that mode, have your archetype that reminds you of your inner strength really close by, because this archetype will tell you, like, this is your lantern, your light, your candle when you enter the darkness. Because if you go into the darkness without light, what happens? You are lost. So you have to have something that is like giving you an, like, we are losing ourselves so easily. Like, I'm just my mistakes, I'm just my wrongdoings, I'm just my weakness. No, these are things of you are starting to look at, but you are much more than this. So we have to keep holding on to our strength, our gifts, our light beings. So I will also recommend you and write in the email to make you a list of all the things you're really good at, all the things in your personality that you really appreciate in yourself and others appreciate in you. And it's really important to always look at the good things that you are that during doing this work, because you lose yourself so easily in just being your wrongdoings, just being your limitings. And it's really important to be resilient in this process, to be really compassionate, really soft, because it is a really heavy process to look at your wrongdoings. This is the reason why the whole world is such a bad place, because people are too wounded to look at their wrongdoings, to look at their shadows. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage and strength to look at it. I don't want to make you fearful. I just want to make you prepared so that you're not losing yourself in an overwhelming feeling of self-doubt and wrongdoings in your life. You are much more. And to really, really build up your altar with your archetype, have your list, always read your list with your strengths before and after your shadow work. Like really, really remind yourself of the good things that you're doing and that you are. That's really, really important. So, as I was saying, the next week is really about going down, going into the shadow realms. So the exercise will be with a guided meditation to help you to travel through your subconscious, to travel through these darker realms. And then I will provide you with journal prompts that help you to unlock all these things and to really observe what's coming up for you, what memories, what situations, and also having the awareness of the witch wound to understand it's bigger than you. The powers and the energies that make you acting out in that way are bigger than you. And I also want to quickly share, now I remember, I was like, something I wanted to share. Now I know. Why we have an issue to connect with other women. Back in the times with the witch trials, women were casting out each other. Like, if I were telling, Elisa is a witch, burn her, it saved me. So women turning against each other is part of the wound. Like, if we are as human beings threatened by life, we do a lot of bad things. Like, if you like do experiments with humans fighting for their surviving, crazy things happen. And back in the times, women were casting each other out. Women were turning the backs against each other, like stucking the knife into each other's backs. This was part of a survival mechanism. This is part of the wound. So why you feel threatened by other women is also because they turned maybe against you, or you are turned against them. So understand that this past life, generational trauma, collective trauma, it's all part infusing your behavior that you have today. And this I'm sharing to give you an understanding. You are not a bad person. This was back in the times reality that is still running through us women. And if you ever saw how generations work, like we have the DNA from generations back down to 400 years. So through you, and this is like epigenetic, is proved studies that the trauma of your ancestors is running through your veins, through your DNA and system. So if your grandmother was in war and she was fleeing, this trauma is trapped in your DNA. But this is not the only trauma trapped in your DNA. It's back to 7 generations that is in your DNA. So if you think back 7 generations, around 200, 400 years, I'm not knowing exactly the same time, but this is when the witch trials was happening still. So think about that this is reality in your genetics. that's why you are in your system maybe inherently afraid to speak up or inherently afraid to trust other women and all these kind of things. So to give you an understanding, it's not just you. It's not just you doing not good enough. And why I encourage you to also be open and curious to the mystic realms. So give yourself, like, again, this is what I recommend. I know it's a really, for some people, hard to do, but I really recommend you this week to fully be committed and dedicated. I mean, I know Martha is in her own process. Francie has her exams. So I'm just saying that as how I do it, and you can take it or not. But to dedicate every day in the evening, because it's shadow work, we are entering Scorpio and the darkness. So in the evening, to do every evening either the meditation or maybe the meditation every few days, but every day, like turning all lights off, lighting one candle, but also you can turn the candle off and just meditating and sitting in full darkness and just receive. You can play music. You can have one candle if this is making you help to create the vibe, but you can also really turn everything off and see what happens. Because if you're opening up to all this, and as we had some wine where the veil is thin, the spirits are out, the ancestors is out, the energies are like really potent, there's a lot of things that can come to you. So just be open to that. Be open to receive what can arise in stillness and darkness, because there is much that can arise, which can help you to overcome and to step through the fear. And I share that with a really big meaning behind, because this is the one goal, like the one tool I do when I don't know what to do anymore. Like if I'm like, I have tension, I have stress, I have overthinking, I have like I'm just like, I don't know where to go, what to do. Like I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. In darkness and stillness. And what I received in these moments is like, can really breaking a breakthrough. So give yourself that space and that openness to discover the darkness and to discover your ancestors. Like if you didn't have the time, like the veil is not opening up on 31st and like closing at the 2nd of November. Like that's not how it happens. So the veil is still thin. So use the next days at least to sit in darkness, and also to do connect with her ancestors. Like talk to your grandmothers, talk to the woman back down in your line. Like some of them were maybe burned, some of them were maybe had experiences. So be open to everything that's coming up. Maybe you're not there yet, maybe just memories from high school or like whatever will come up. But be open and curious to receive everything. Yes, and so this week is really the week, I would say, to go deep, travel into the shadow realms, facing your shadows, because now you have the tools. And also I encourage you to do every day in the morning or in the evening or both. I would recommend doing it in the morning and in the evening, the breathing exercise and the emotional release. And in the evening, the meditation in darkness. And then maybe one evening doing a ritual where you do the meditation and the journal prompts. So this is what I recommend you. But of course, it's in your own commitment, how much time and space you can give yourself and you want to give yourself. If you're constantly exhausted or like fully wrapped up in exams, just do whatever you can. But if you have the space and the willingness, I would recommend you to go deep and be dedicated, and to really use the breathing exercise and the humming and everything to soothe your nervous system so that you are capable to receive. Just when you are like kind of regulated in your system, you can receive all this. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. If you're like totally overwhelmed, not the best time to do it. It's fine. You can do it at any other time. Like especially Francie, like this is all, you have all recorded, you have all in your emails. Maybe one time in your life you will have this month and you say like, now I'm travel deep. It's fine. You know, like it's not running away. You have the recording anytime. And then when you went through this whole week by yourself, in like next week in our session, we will make the integration. We will reclaim the power. We will really make sure that you're leaving this container with empowerment. So we will do a collective ritual together to go through this initiation. We went through the darkness and we rise. Yes. That's it. Yeah, as I was saying, I wanted to really intuitively share more to all this, to really make sure you're prepared. What's so nice. Yeah.